let's pull Robert in. And
you're also needed in the in our Discord. Morgan and I are figuring out something. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Robert. You are live with Promise and Alyssa. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. Good evening. How are you both doing?
This is the same Robert from last week, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, that's
awesome.
correct.
Thanks for calling back. And I will tell you, like I said, I don't know if you heard me earlier, our lag is so bad right now. So we're all going to do our best to not talk over each other. It's going to happen, but hopefully we can sort it out. Just know that the lag is happening and we're all going to have to work with it.
Thank you. So I have an argument for why the bodily autonomy argument for permitting abortion is invalid. I'd like to present this argument to you. It's 4 premises and a conclusion, and I can give you justifications for the premises if you disagree with them. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Okie dokie. So 1, bodily autonomy is the right to make decisions about your body. 2, the right to bodily autonomy is a qualified right, not an absolute right. 3, the right to bodily autonomy does not permit you to kill other innocent human beings, and so is trumped by the prohibition on killing innocent human beings. 4, when you have an abortion, you are killing an innocent human being. Conclusion, therefore, abortion should be prohibited.
So I think my biggest point here is that, and this is a conversation I think that you had a little bit last week as well, is when at the time where people are typically having an abortion, the fetus is not able to survive on its own outside of the mother and is essentially kind of in a parasitic relationship. And so when you're saying things like the bodily autonomy has, wait, sorry, can you repeat your 4 points again? I want to write them down. I should have written them down when you said them, but I want to focus on listening, but I actually want to write them down to make sure that I don't forget. Sorry, Robert.
Yes, sure. I said them pretty quickly. Sorry. So number 1 is bodily autonomy is the right to make decisions about your body. 2, the right to bodily autonomy is a qualified right, not an absolute right. 3, the right to bodily autonomy.
Sorry, say the second one more time.
Yeah. The right to bodily autonomy is a qualified right, not an absolute right. 3, the right to bodily autonomy does not permit you to kill other innocent human beings, and so is trumped by the prohibition on killing innocent human beings. 4, when you have an abortion, you are killing an innocent human being, and conclusion, therefore, abortion should be prohibited.
But what you're failing throughout all of this is to tell us how this is killing a full human being. And how it's okay. So here's the thing. Because we're going to go back to the last thing I told you over and over and over again, which is that being legally forced to give your bodily autonomy over to any other life, dead, alive, grown-ass adult, newborn, fetus, anything, should not be a legal requirement.
Okay. I heard you say earlier that where was it? You said earlier that the fetus kind of relies on the body to survive and wouldn't survive outside the body, and so it's not
Correct.
it's not killing because the fetus isn't viable outside the body and can't survive outside the body.
I don't even, right. You can call it killing. I don't care what word you want to use for it. If you're removing it so that I am not giving up my body, that's the part that we're focusing on. But you want to keep using these words like killing and murder and stuff like that, when it is actually, if you describe the process, it is removing, as Alyssa pointed out, the parasite from the body. So you have to tell me why I should be forced to do that.
Okay, so, well, like I said, there's a general prohibition on killing innocent human beings, and I have an argument for why. I haven't presented it yet, but I have some arguments. But
how do you know that this is an innocent human being? It could end up being the next Hitler, as I pointed out. There is no way to know that it's an innocent human being. We don't know that it's not going to end up taking the life of the mother at some point. We don't know anything about it. So you can't make these claims about it when it is still just a fetus. That is the whole point. It can't survive on its own. It's not a viable life. And so this is not equivalent to killing an innocent life.
And if you were to have an abortion because of reasons that maybe your life as the mother is being put in danger and you have to have an abortion, do you still feel the same way, that you're killing an innocent life and that you shouldn't do that and the mother just gets to die?
Sorry, please, could you repeat the question?
So if we're very concerned about killing an innocent life, what happens in the circumstance that a mother her life is in danger, and the only thing that would prevent her from dying would be to remove the fetus and to have an abortion?
Yeah, in that case, the decision of what we should permit should be guided by which outcome would result in the lowest expected number of innocent human beings being killed. And so if it's an ectopic pregnancy, for example, where both the mother and child will die if you forbid abortion, then in that case, 2 innocent human beings would die. But if you allow abortion, only 1 innocent human being would be killed. And so we should choose whichever option results in
I don't agree with your premise that this is, quote, an innocent life. So I'm unable to follow this all the way through. I don't think that it is, quote, a life. And that's why to me, it's such a waste of time, you and I sitting here to try to discuss the morality behind whether this is a life or not. That's why, to me, this is about autonomy, because I don't want to be legally forced to give up my body to any other thing at all.
Okay, well, so even if it's so the thing is, like, I think the point of you using the bodily autonomy argument is, I've heard you before say that, even if it's Einstein, you still have the right via bodily autonomy to carry out an abortion, like even if it's totally conscious and everything like that. And so I think I'm, proceeding along those lines.
You wouldn't have an abortion, Robert. You wouldn't have no one has abortions unless it is like an extreme exception. No one has abortions with a fetus that is conscious. That's not real. That doesn't happen.
Well, after about 24 weeks, kind of.
No one's having abortions at 24. No one's having abortions at 24 weeks.
That's not happening, and that's you're getting off topic over and over and over again, because this truly is about, it's not that I make it about bodily autonomy. It is about bodily autonomy. That is the argument. If you want to debate the morality behind it, go talk to somebody else. I think that's boring and I don't care. We're not going to agree because we don't have the same moral standards. What I will happily talk about is bodily autonomy, because that's the legal issue here. If you're wanting to say that you should be able to take away my legal rights, you need to give me a really good reason for that. And you need to know that we're never going to align on these moral beliefs, because you already made it really clear last week that we do not share those same standards. Because I actually care about the woman's life that is going to have her life completely altered based off of this choice that she should have.
Okay, so let's stick to bodily autonomy then. like I said, so one of the premises of my argument was that the right to bodily autonomy does not permit you to kill other innocent human beings, and so is trumped by the prohibition on killing innocent human beings. So an example of this is that
but you can't assume that this is an innocent
I don't think it's killing. I don't think it's killing, Robert. That's the whole, like, you keep moving forward with this as though we've agreed to your premises, and we haven't.
Okay, so I can justify that premise then. So the justification that abortion isn't killing, when in fact it is, saying that abortion isn't killing, it's just ending a pregnancy, is like saying that opening the airlock in a room of a spaceship while someone is inside isn't killing, it's just pressing a button. In both cases, you're causing their death.
No, that's not. Killing. That's not. Here's a much better example. Let's say that, well, back to this. I feel like I'm just repeating myself from last week, which is fine. Let's say that Alyssa is bleeding out and she needs my blood and she's attached to me, and I say, no, I don't want her taking my blood anymore, and I unhook myself from that, and Alyssa bleeds out and dies. Did I kill Alyssa?
Yes, you did. Well, I mean,
okay, so you think that people should be legally forced to give blood then? Is that where we're going to go with this?
So it depends on the specifics. There's some very fine specifics here.
I just gave you the example.
Yeah. Well, it sounded like you gave sort of two different examples. So when you walk past someone who is bleeding badly and needs a blood transfusion and you decline, you're not murdering an innocent human being because, they're already bleeding out and, you're totally inactive and they die anyway.
If you really need me to make this super crystal clear for you to continue to just disagree with me and not give a good reason for it, I can do that. If I see Alyssa on the sidewalk bleeding out, somebody there says, hey, I can connect you to her and you can donate your blood to her right now and save her life. And I say, okay, I agree. I'll do it. You hook me up to Alyssa. I'm saving her life. Now she's on her way to living again because she has my blood. And then I think, you know what? I changed my mind. I actually don't want to give my blood anymore. And I get up and I unhook myself and Alyssa dies because she doesn't have blood anymore. Did I kill Alyssa?
In that case, no, because she's already kind of bleeding out and you didn't cause her to bleed out.
Because she's not a viable life at that point. Correct. That's the same thing with removing a pregnancy that isn't a viable life form. And that's why it's not killing, Robert. And I'm not going to agree with you on that, no matter how many times you present the same thing over and over again.
Well, the viable life form point is irrelevant. And here's why. So when you say that,
Robert, stop being so dishonest. You just made that the point of why you disagreed with me in this example I gave you. And now you're special pleading for your own situation?
No, there's two different things going on here. So one, viability is simply, the ability of an organism to survive in a particular environment. And so human beings can't survive in the vacuum of space. But, that doesn't mean that if I sort of press the button on the airlock and let all the air out of the ship, of the spaceship, of the room that you're standing
Robert, that has nothing to do with Robert, stop using that example. It has nothing to do with bodily autonomy because that's not me protecting my bodily autonomy by pressing a button somewhere in space. That is a terrible example. Stop using it.
It's also if someone's an astronaut, they consented to putting their body in whatever that situation is, and that's a whole. It literally has so many other variables that have nothing to do with keeping a pregnancy or not keeping a pregnancy.
Yes, you've removed completely the fact that it impacts the other person's body.
Well, the distinction between a spaceship and a body isn't morally relevant, and here's why. The reason why you can do what you want with your body in normal circumstances is because your body is your possession. And in general, by default, you're allowed to do what you want with your possessions as long as you aren't harming or killing other people. And this is why you have the right to bodily autonomy, because you possess your body and you're allowed to do what you want with your body. That's the presumed right. But it is not an absolute right. It's a qualified right. It's qualified by you not being allowed to use your body to harm other people. For example, you're not
Great
normally
point.
you're allowed
This is why a fetus shouldn't be allowed to harm the body that it's in. Unfortunately, the fetus can't do shit, which is why we take it out when we don't want it, because it can't make that choice or decide that, oh, I shouldn't harm others, because it's not a freaking person.
Well, I mean, it is a person, because a person is a human being, and
well, then isn't it more like a person
human
because it's harming other people when you're saying you shouldn't harm other people?
Yeah, people shouldn't harm other people, but
tell that to the fetuses that are living and taking up space in a womb when the person doesn't want them there.
Yeah, but by kind of sending that fetus, like by scrambling that fetus with a vacuum tube, or by eating a pill which causes your womb to sort of like detach all its lining, you're either suffocating that fetus or you're dismembering that fetus with a vacuum tube, and that fetus is just a very young human being.
It's a medical procedure that we trust doctors to figure out.
Yes. Also, Miss Robert, listen to me. What you are picturing as being this process is not the process that's taking place. I feel like you're imagining a baby, a tiny baby with arms and legs. And I can tell that you don't understand what is actually being removed from a uterus based on how you referenced 24 weeks being a place in pregnancy where people would be getting abortions, which is not what happens. And so that tells me that not only do I think that you are trying to overstep on people's bodily autonomy, like we know that, but I also think that you actually don't understand how abortion works. And so you have this very strong opinion, and you actually don't understand what process is being placed. If this were a baby that had the ability to be sentient and understand the world around it, that we'd be having a very different conversation. That's not what we're talking about ever when we're talking about abortion.
But the only thing I will say here, I'll still go back, because to me, this still comes back to bodily autonomy. If the only way for me to get a grown-ass man out of my womb so that I don't have to support its life is for me to go through a medical abortion, and he's not going to survive it. Sorry, you don't get the rights to my body. That's not my problem here. That's why I keep telling you, Robert, this is about bodily autonomy. It's not me making it the point. That is the argument at hand. That is what we're discussing, is if we care about bodily autonomy or not. And you just made a great case for it when you said we shouldn't harm others with our body. And Alyssa and I both pointed out that that's what this fetus is doing when it's there, when somebody doesn't want it there. And so we're simply removing the non-viable life form, which I have gone on the record to say, I don't care if it is a grown person. I'm not going to be legally forced to give my body over to anything else. And you have still, throughout this entire call, throughout last week, not given any reason why we should give up our bodily autonomy.
Okay, here's a reason why kind of your bodily autonomy doesn't give you the rights that you think it gives you. So, for example, you typically have the right to straighten your arm in front of you because your arm is part of your body, and so if you want to activate the muscles in that arm, you can. It's your body, your choice. But that right is not absolute, because you're not permitted to straighten your arm when someone is right in front of you, standing on the edge of a cliff, and straightening your arm.
Oh, kind of like how maybe a fetus doesn't have guaranteed rights to grow in a womb because it's going to impact somebody else around it, literally around it. I said kind of like how a fetus doesn't have the guaranteed right to grow and exist in a womb, where it would literally impact something all around it, another human's body. You're making my point for me over and over again.
No, but here's the thing. If you're agreeing with my reasoning that humans don't have that the right of bodily autonomy does not grant humans the right to kind of kill other people, then we have to acknowledge two things.
It's not killing, because
you're being so sneaky, and you're sneaking around the arguments that we've already talked over.
It's not killing. This is something that relies. No, it's not, because it literally relies on another body to be able to be viable. So it's not killing. It's literally just removing something that would not be viable outside of the host. It's a parasite more than it is a person.
Now, Robert, if we develop the technology to remove a pregnancy and have it, if we develop the technology to remove a pregnancy and sustain it otherwise and guarantee this life a decent life, we would be having a different conversation then, because then we decide, like, what's the ethical thing to do in this situation? We don't have that. We do not have the technology to do that. I wish I had that. As we discussed my ectopic pregnancy, if I had been able to remove it and reimplant it in a way that it was a viable life, that would be great. If we have the technology someday for some of these pregnancies, that would be another conversation that we then have to get to. We don't have that. So the only way to continue to have bodily autonomy is to allow for abortion.
So viability kind of isn't part of the scientific definition of life, because they're like parasites are still alive, even if they. Yeah, yes, it is. Listen, if you want to like look up, what makes something alive, it's whether it's respires, whether it has metabolism, whether it responds to stimuli, whether cellular division, all those sorts of things. And a zygote, a fetus, an embryo, they all do those things. So, and the fact is that it's a human organism. It's an organism belonging to the human species. And when I say it, like, I mean to say he or she. So, like, this preborn human being.
Intersex people exist.
Yes, it can't survive outside the womb. But it's
also interesting, Robert. It's interesting that you didn't want to give pronouns, but you just said,
but you will
he
give
or
them
she. But you gave pronouns to a fetus, but you won't give pronouns to yourself, Miss Robert. Come on, be so for real.
Let me explain that quick little point. What I mean to say, but there aren't enough characters to display it, are that I don't agree with claiming personal pronouns. I agree with that pronouns are part of language.
Why did you just claim? Then why did you just
these
claim?
Are my personal pronouns.
But you just did that for fetuses. So you didn't even ask them what their pronouns are. So.
So when people are referring to you,
what I mean is
how do they do that? So when people refer to you, how do they do that?
When I use, they say he, but that's because I believe that's all males.
Oh, you could have just told us, Robert. This is a call-in show. We have callers all the time where if I have to guess based off of your voice, I don't know what pronoun I should assume you have. I like being told. This is like a very normal, easy thing to do. But we can get back to the abortion topic. It's wild that you are wanting to give so much to these fetuses, and you still are ignoring the women that are carrying them, and you have zero care whatsoever for the other life that is a part of this conversation, that is a much bigger part of this conversation. You aren't defending her right to exist without being harmed by other life at all.
Right.
That's disturbing.
Well, what I want to do is I want to weigh up the total number of innocent human beings being killed. So there were 39 deaths of mothers from...
Robert, I have no interest in doing that. I'm muting you for a hot second just because the delay is so bad. I have no interest in doing that. None. Literally zero, not at all. Because this is the thing that's so frustrating about having conversations like this. We have explained over and over again that when you are having an abortion, what you are doing is removing the potential of having a child months and months and months later down the road. You're not doing this at 24 weeks. I'm so fucking tired of hearing about that. Literally do a minor bit of research about what is actually happening when an abortion happens before you dare pick up your call and say again that you don't know what a goddamn pronoun is. That is infuriating to me, Robert. Are you fucking serious? Like, actually. Like, now I'm so angry. And then for you to continue to tell us that the woman's body doesn't matter at all. What her life has amounted to in however many years that she has lived before this pregnancy happened doesn't matter at all. But what matters to you is, I know that Promise doesn't love this, but is the clump of cells, because that's what it is. It's not a baby. It's not a baby. It's not even a fetus when they remove it most of the time. It's a zygote. It's the size of a goddamn blueberry. But you wouldn't know that because you didn't even do a simple Google to figure this out. You just sat there with your man fucking brain and decided that this was the argument you wanted to have. You called with the same bullshit last week as you did this week. You didn't even do a Google search about it, and you just want to be on your high horse. And I'm over it, and I'm literally dropping you because I actually don't care what you have to say. I literally don't. Like, that is so infuriating. And I like, it's just
so dishonest. I mean, you keep going back to the same premises when we've already told you why. Also, for you to blatantly sit through me explaining, okay, if Alyssa and I are hooked up and is it killing? No, it's not killing. And then you want to go back to it's killing. So dishonest. It is like, you just really frustrating to watch men over and over again care about a fetus, which is the easiest thing in the world for a man to care about because it costs nothing of him. Zero, nothing whatsoever. And meanwhile, basically just shit on every person that's ever had to carry a pregnancy. Really wild. I'd love a woman to call in sometime and debate abortion with us, because I would like to hear how that goes.
Yeah, and it's that's the thing that's so insane to me, is even when I talk about abortion on my social platforms, 9 times out of 10, it is men who want to call in and debate this with me. This barely fucking affects you. It does not affect you half as much as it does for the people who actually have to carry the pregnancy. And I know that's not your ass, Miss Robert.
Well, and a lot of times a woman doesn't want to have children because she doesn't have a partner that's going to actually step up and co-parent properly or be a healthy father to her children and all this. So we have this issue already of men not showing up and not stepping up as fathers, but then they want to force women to be pregnant. It is, I'm so done with it. Thanks for hanging up on it. We already gave him so much time last week. Also, when you just keep ignoring our points after agreeing with them, like, out of here.
Right. And it's also like, it was frustrating because a part of me is also hearing him do a combination of what felt like flipping through a script and also trying to, like, in some way, I want to be sort of like, I'm glad that he kept his composure and was trying to be like level in the call, but you're not, it doesn't make it less rude or less disrespectful when you're hearing the things that we're saying and then disregarding it, and then also saying things that are blatantly wrong, like that someone's having an abortion at 24 weeks. Like, so you're actually still being disrespectful of our time because you actually don't know what you're talking about. You called in for the second week and then you tried to go toe-to-toe with me with it on this. And like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen because everything you're saying, that was so infuriating. I feel like, did you see that clip that went viral, and it was a girl being like, she like freaks out for a second and she was like, I need to calm down. I'm an adult.
Yes, I love that one.
Oh yeah, my God.
It's frustrating. But yeah, maybe someday somebody will call in and debate with us and show up honestly in the conversation when points are made. I don't know. Yeah, it's feeling a lot like how the God talks go, though.
Oh my God. I was just saying recently, like it's so hard because I don't want to ever live in self-righteousness. However, the fact that the line has existed as long as it has, does as many shows as it does every single week, most days of the week, every single week for years, like between the shows we do now and whatever they've been in the past, and all these other creators that exist on the internet who have these exact conversations over and over and over again. And there has not been a single person to like unequivocally prove the existence of God, prove that he's a good person, and then also prove that we shouldn't be able to prioritize bodily autonomy. It gets hard to believe that we are very wrong. And I want to always remain open to like whatever possibilities, but when I think about the sheer amount of time that we spend having these conversations as a whole, like as a community, I just can't, it just seems impossible to me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but on the other hand, I think these are the conversations that, and obviously the reason we do these shows and keep having the same arguments over and over and over again is because people need to hear how these conversations sound. I mean, 90% of the time, I'm not expecting the person on the other end to change their mind whatsoever in our conversation. It's not enough time. It's not, that's not how I would have a conversation with somebody that I'm trying to truly change the mind of. It's more like, we're debating it, So we're debating an issue. But for other people to get to hear that, that's what helped me start changing my mind about so many things is I would hear the arguments that I had in my head that I would never have with anybody else. I would hear like some of the dumb points that Robert made were some of my arguments against abortion. And then when you actually hear them and you hear somebody else push back, it's really powerful. What I find most powerful is when the person on the other line will engage honestly with us. Even if they say, you know what, look, I'm sorry, I still really disagree with you. You made some points here that I'll go think about, but I'm still unable to agree. We have to end it here. Okay, that's fine. Or even if you say, you know what, I don't know, I might be changing my mind on this. Thanks for the chat and move on. But the persistence when it comes to just doubling down and being dishonest is really frustrating.
It is. And then it also like, it's a waste of our time and a waste of our energy. We're just going to talk in circles for however long.
Hey, this is your reminder to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I will continue to post clips like this from the wonderful shows that I get to do on the line, but there will also be some other fun content that will be on this channel at some point. So it means a lot to me for you to be here and to watch this video on this channel, but please make sure that you are also watching the full show and our clips and all of the other wonderful shows that we have on the Line's YouTube channel. It will be linked in the description below. If you are in the mood to anger your weird uncle that you see only on holidays or random people in the mall, you can also check out my merch, which will be linked in my shop, which should be below or somewhere on my profile. If you love the work that we do at The Line, please go to patreon.com/calltheline and you can become one of our wonderful patrons. We love them so much and we get to make bonus content together and have some other really fun perks. So thank you again for being here. I appreciate it more than you know, and I'll see you in the next one.